other star systems like the Anunnaki and Sirians able to visit Earth without damaging their physical bodies? Do their planets have oxygen, water, etc., like Earth?
Yes. They wouldn't necessarily have landed on your planet if they didn't have the ability to either adapt or survive in the environment as it is, or bring protective equipment with them, just like you do when you visit your moon. So the idea, again, is it's not that difficult. They're close enough. Remember, you are genetically connected to the Anunnaki. Therefore, in a sense, you are very much like them. So yes, they were oxygen breathing, or, well, atmosphere breathing in the way that your atmosphere is constructed, similar enough that they could adapt, just as you could adapt to certain planets like ours with a little time. So the idea is there are many that can adapt to your atmosphere. Those that can't would bring their protective equipment with them to be able to survive on the surface.
So how did the early contactees in our history handle the higher vibration of the ETs they were in contact with?
Who said that all of the ETs they were in contact with had higher vibrations to the point where they couldn't handle it? You're making an assumption. When we talk about the idea of not being able to handle our frequency or the frequency of some other ET races, that doesn't necessarily generally apply across the board to every single ET race. Humanity has made some strides in its evolution, making you more vibrationally compatible to some ET races, especially those that may be your distant cousins, and so on and so forth. Plus, there may be some ETs that are willing to adapt their frequencies to your reality in order to interact with you. And again, remember, we have often said that some of these encounters don't take place in what you consider to be your normal reality. You may actually be having these encounters in a slightly shifted vibrational reality that is germane and vibrationally compatible with both humans and the ETs. So never assume that things are just normal, like they're landing on your planet in your reality, interacting with you in your vibrational state. You may be slightly shifted and not even know it. But nevertheless, it doesn't mean that all ETs are vibrating at a frequency that is something beyond what you can handle if you make even the slightest upgrade in your frequency.
Like, what would you assess Pleiadian frequency at?
Pleiadian frequency is higher than yours, but not out of reach. So again, they may shift the vibration into a different reality that's vibrationally compatible with both of you in that reality. Again, it may not be happening in what you consider to be your physical reality, even though it may seem so. But they're not that far beyond you. Many of you could make the shift into their vibration, and many of you have made the shift into their vibratory frequency. So the idea is simply to recognize that you've come a long way. There are many that are in a, shall we say, shamanistic way, able to match their frequencies. Love yourself unconditionally, and you won't be that far away from the frequency that they experience for themselves.
I know it's interesting that the way that we prepare for contact is to let go of our negative beliefs, which keep our frequency low.
Yes.
Very interesting. And what about the hybrid children? Like, what frequency range would you say they will be the ones that come here?
Some of them may be able to lower and raise their frequency in a way that would make them slightly more vibrationally compatible with some humans, but for a while it will take some time to adapt to your reality and some time for humanity to adapt to them. But on average, most of them will not necessarily go lower than 180,000 cycles per second, and most of them will average somewhere in the mid 200,000 range, at least.
And the majority of the people on our planet currently are below 100,000?
Correct.
Okay. But those of us that are exploring this path of transformation and letting go of negative energies and things like that, what range is that generally?
On average, the people that are willing to open up and explore the idea and expand the idea of their consciousness, willing to let go of fear-based and negative belief systems, willing to express being of service to all and unconditional love as best as possible, can certainly at least average 150,000 cycles per second to 190,000 cycles per second. So there is an overlap there
And
between the
just
hybrid children and humanity.
and just so that for those that may not be familiar with this, 333,000 cycles per second is the transformation from physical to non-physical
Yes.
energy, right?
Yes.
And so that gives you an idea that, and the Ssani are running close to 333,000 cycles per second, right?
Close. We operate only in the 300,000s and go up and down according to what we need to go up and down for a variety of reasons. But yes, the transition from physical to non-physical reality is 333,000 cycles per second, although your scientists don't yet understand what it is that exactly measures.
So the Anunnaki who created the Homo sapien that went against their rules, so to speak, what frequency range were those beings?
They were operating somewhere around the 100,000, 120,000, 130,000 vibrations per second range.
So it also shows how you can make great advances technologically, but not necessarily have a high frequency to a point, right?
As witnessed by what happened with the beings, the parallel reality humans that mutated into the Greys. Yes, they had a very advanced technology, but their spirituality was lacking.
What frequency range were they functioning at?
In the midst of the idea of the destruction of their world, they were only operating somewhere around 60 to 70,000 cycles per second.
Gosh, it's just amazing. But at the same time, you've said that we really don't have to be concerned about negative ETs because their frequency range would not be compatible with ours in some way or something.
Correct. You would have to match that frequency for yourself to have any interaction awareness at all. And even the idea of interactional awareness actually comes with the idea of raising your frequency. Because remember, negative energy segregates and separates and divides, whereas higher frequencies integrate.
So most of the ETs that we're interacting with then would be higher frequency ETs. Yes?
High enough that they pose no threat to you.
I see.
Even though there may be misunderstandings, even though they may have very different ways of interacting, nothing that you're interacting with as humans on Earth are actually being exposed to what you would actually literally call negative extraterrestrials. You are simply unaware of them.
Basically, are there any beings who vibrate millions or even billions of cycles per second? And if so, what are they like?
Well, they would mostly be non-physical in different dimensions of reality, beyond sometimes even what you can imagine. Of course, the idea in general of what you would call God, Goddess, all that is, would be operating at an infinite frequency.
Oh. And so as far as the hybridization agenda goes, why is the hybridization agenda in our best interest?
Because it's part of Earth's evolutionary path that you've all chosen to become the sixth hybrid race, to advance yourself in a variety of ways that will open up access to the galaxies of the universe to you. This is the way you're improving yourself. This is the way you're reclaiming the genetics that the Anunnaki shut down within you when they created Homo sapiens.